it's your voice is lagging behind your mouth moving. Now you're frozen.
No, I'm fucking with you.
But no, it's not that you freeze moving. It's that there's a lag between your mouth moving and the voice coming out.
Yeah, I'm not sure why that is. Oh, you know what it probably is? I don't have the Yeti with me. I'm going through the webcam mic, and maybe that's messing. Maybe let me switch that over to.
Do you have a mic on the headphones?
We're going to do that right now, buddy. Let's see.
Are you still up in the Northeast?
Yes.
Oh, well, that explains it.
Let me see here.
Living in the parents' basement?
Yeah. Planning a global domination from my parents' basement. Me and the rest of the crew.
Bitcoin is up 24,184, my friend.
Do I sound better here?
Yeah, you do actually.
Okay, I just switched over to the laptop mic or the headset mic to see what happens.
It's still lagging, but not as severely.
Yeah, I do notice whenever I move, it's like if I scratch my nose or something, it seems to freeze right there, you know, and my finger's stuck on my nose or something like that, you know. It seems to always freeze in the most inopportune places. But no, as far as Bitcoin, yeah, I mean, I did hear there was a lot of speculation, I guess, that the buying behavior changed on January 8th. I think they're saying at 2:25 in the afternoon or something when the buyers first started showing up. Obviously, Saylor has been a big buyer over the last couple of weeks, I've been told, but other groups too. So I don't know. I mean, it just kind of keeps feeding this positive narrative in my mind.
He's still outperforming overall over the last week, but you know, it's Bitcoin's making its move, and I'd love to see ETH break 1,600 here. So that's exciting. You know, again, cautiously optimistic. I don't get my hopes up, but so far so good.
Some speculation I saw too, or was one of the chats, because either the Jarvis guys or Kingfisher, but that they're all looking for the catalyst move to start the upward trajectory again.
Right.
And it seems like everybody's hinging on this ETH merge.
Yeah.
But the one thing, they have a stat now over there at Jarvis, which basically said that 50% of all the coins are up 30% in the last, I screenshotted it. Make sure I get the term right. It was the last week. So there's definitely like a kind of an up only kind of thing going on in a lot of this, which is nice.
I mean, you know, if I short this by 7 day, there's a lot of folks over 30% and a lot over 20. I mean, it's pretty prevalent. Now look at this. Fucking Ethereum Classic's up 83.78% in the last 7 days. What the fuck?
That's got to be some play on the merge too.
Yeah, I'm wondering if people are saying fuck it, that miners are going to move over to Classic at the merge, and people are thinking that there'll be some action over on Classic. I don't know. I mean, you know, Ethereum Classic lags behind in development and doesn't have it near. I mean, like, you know, any of the level of protocols on it. But hey. You know, I mean, if there's the potential to grow something there, there's nothing wrong with that in my mind.
So that's still going to be a proof of work token, right?
Yeah. They'll still be mining. Those guys are purists. They're not going to touch that shit. So it's interesting. Look, I mean, $25 each. Where's it been? Look at that. Look at that. Nice high in well, if I could get this mouse.
That looks like May of 21.
Yeah.
Ish.
I'm trying to get to what the fuck the high was, but the chart won't work. So 145, 146, somewhere in there. Yeah. That's substantial.
Yeah, I remember the run up before that, the 18-17 run up as well.
But that's a really look at that extreme run there, man. Like compared to everything else, it wasn't that extreme.
Well, I think also you're getting that whole first BTC, quarter compressed.
ETH. Yeah, look at ETH and BTC at the same time.
Yeah.
The fuck?
That is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's always some kind of speculation going on there with ETC. I mean, is there a way, is it any kind of hedge on the merge?
Well, I could see that. I
Yeah.
could see that people thinking that with ETC, but I don't know what the compatibility levels are for projects to move over, but I don't think it's an easy thing to do. But anyway, look, it's more power to them. And, there's a lot of people been slogging away over there on Ethereum Classic for a long time. And, for listeners that don't know, Ethereum Classic came about because when Ethereum did the hard fork because of the DAO exploit, there were purists. And it's also, if you listen to the two most recent books about the history of Ethereum, there was a hard fork. And so those that were kind of diehard code is law stuck with Ethereum Classic. But there's also quite a bit of rumors that a number of folks on Bitcoin were funding this because they wanted to split out resources to Ethereum Classic and weaken Ethereum overall. But at the end of the day, they've been plugging away. They continue to work on it and upgrade it, et cetera, et cetera. So, I have no idea what the level of number of protocols on there are. I don't know anything about what's going on Ethereum Classic, but it's certainly somebody. If you thought that the merge was going to mean that there'd be more activity on Ethereum Classic 6 months ago and you bought in, you're a happy camper today. So, well, yeah. Not 6 months ago. I shouldn't say that.
6 years ago.
Yeah. No time frame in the last 6 months works for that. So no, if you did it 3 months ago, you're a happy camper. If you did it, well, no, you're not. Yeah, you're up. But if you did it in June, you're a happy camper. But otherwise, you're down.
Well, also, if you bought it and you went up, you hopefully sold a little.
Oh, look at that. I fucking love Drops tab. Look at this. They'll map over the fear index to the price chart. Plus, you can map in BTC and ETH. That's really cool. Look at that. I like that. Yeah, let me go back to some of the others. That's really hot. Sean says ETH is acting as exit liquidity here.
As in,
I don't know what he means.
I think he must mean the ETH holders are selling, or the ETH demand is being filled with exit liquidity needs. I mean, look, if I bought at 890, I mean, I don't think I'd still be there right now.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
Yeah.
So I get his point.
You think you think there's anybody in this world that just trades the fear and greed index?
I think so.
They hit a point. Let's see, where was it? This was the beginning, was at 20. This is Bitcoin chart with the fear and greed overlaid. 27 here, 24 here, and we're at 31 today. What's interesting is I'd love to see data whether consistently, coming off a low in the fear and greed index, how consistently it recovers, right?
And fear and greed too, it almost seems, I mean, it just seems by nature to be a forensic indicator.
Yeah.
That way, that it seems to be what happened? Oh, everybody was scared shitless.
Yeah.
I don't see it being a leading indicator in some way, but it does capture to me overall market sentiment. But, look, people are going to be fearful if they think their shorts aren't going to close out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or they're going to be fearful. They don't think their longs are going to close. So if you're sitting there with a bunch of longs that are only in the money 6% and you're sweating it, I mean, do you go 7 on fear and greed index?
Right.
Or do you go 50? I don't know. So to me, it's a funny one in that it seems to be able to rationalize its number after the fact.
Well, I'd love to see data saying, okay, when fear and greed goes below, I'm just making up numbers.
Sure.
Here. When fear and greed goes below 20 and crosses 30, how often is there a gain, of X% on the chart? Right.
Yeah.
And I think that could be some really interesting data. I would love to see that because, that could be an interesting little portfolio building play. but you know, I don't know. But I mean, look, if you look at these, extreme fear at 20, right, in this range. Down here was at 13. The price was at 33,752. Ended up peaking at 50, neutral, fear and greed at 50, with the price at 45,200.
What was the fear and greed back there in October when it's up in the 60s?
Oh, let's see.
Scroll left, yeah, to the right.
Right.
Yeah. So we got 24, and now we're at 70, 78.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just before it in September, it was at 24. Oh, 25.
But I think the interesting
21.
thing is when it tips over, like, was it at 80? Like, say when it's at 48 over here in April of 2022. I mean, because the y-axis is the dollar value of Bitcoin. It's not the fear and greed index, right?
Right.
Okay, got it. Yeah, okay. So like right here, we're at 26, so it goes to 48, and it's still only, go to the right a little bit. I'm sorry. Go to that little peak right there. Keep going. Yeah, 56. Okay. And then it starts going down.
Yeah. But I mean, we were at 84
80.
here.
Yeah, I'm just wondering where there's a number in there that is means everybody's, you know, because look, I could see Bitcoin being at 58,000 and being scared shitless.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I'm not sitting there at 58 going, oh yeah, 90, baby, it's going to 1 million, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I just am not going to feel that way myself.
Sean said all alts act as exit liquidity to BTC. Same every time. Yeah, I got to agree with that.
And when he's saying that, we're talking about that kind of rotation from the BTC, like mega pop into ETH and alts, that cycle that we've kind of touched on a lot. Okay.
Yeah, I assume that's what he means.
Yeah.
He can, we need to get him back. I need to get him scheduled regularly.
Like, just for like 15 minutes or something.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not a burden on him.
Yeah, like once a week, dude. How about it, Sean? You want to do once a week, 15 minutes, 30 minutes once a week? I know you have a busy social schedule, but you can even do it from the pub. That'd be cool.
I'd love that.
Yeah, let's do it from the pub.
Then we could see what his neighbors think of him.
Yeah, that'll feel so authentic.
Yeah, exactly. But he doesn't want to get outed in his local neighborhood either.
He's probably the norm of his local pub.
Yeah.
They all go, Sean!
But once everybody figures out he's the big BTC stacker, then it's like, Sean, my tab, buddy.
He probably plays the poor man when he goes to his pub. Yeah. I bet. He probably runs a tab.
Yeah, that's what I'd be doing. Oh, let me see if I got some change in here. You don't think he's pulling out his crypto.com?
He said best card from the pub, dude.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Absolutely.
Okay, anytime. So let's do this. You know what? I'll message you, but on Telegram, but let's set it up like once a week where you come in for 15, 30 minutes and we talk the markets and whatever else you want to shit talk about the DeFi world, whatever you like. So I'll ping you on Telegram, man. We'll get it set up. Okay, what else I have? You know what? I hadn't looked at in a while, and I'm not going to go into a lot of detail here, but I hadn't looked at DeFi Pulse in a while because I'm actually chatting with the guy who founded this, who's also one of the primary contributors and founders of that Canto blockchain that I told you about, Scott Lewis. And I was looking at his profile, and this is one of like 8 projects this guy has founded that everybody kind of uses in the space. So he's a prolific contributor to the DeFi world. So good guy. But anyway, this is a really interesting tool keeping track of TVL. I'd love to see this integrated with Drops tab. Right now they're showing total value locked of 43.07 billion. But I mean, you can see this drop we took May of TVL, and then further down, I don't know, was this Sifu time frame? Was this no, that was that date? That is May. I'm trying to remember
no, that's not too long ago.
Yeah.
That might have been Terra.
Yeah. That's Terra. That's Terra. And then more in June. as everybody got more scared, but we're arching our way back up on the TVL. So another interesting stat was this maker dominance, 18.34% of all the protocols they list. And they list the major ones here, kind of the blue chip and up top 50, but they have more. But anyway, ranks them by TVL, pretty interesting to see. I'm assuming this is just Ethereum. Maybe it's cross-chain, but I'm pretty sure it's just Ethereum. Anyway. Let's see. That's the fear and greed. We already saw it. We're still up over where we were 90 days ago. What is this? What do I got, Joe? Oh, our buddies over at Musk Cometh. Look at this, man. They're out at CC. The founder of Musk Cometh is also president of the Ethereum France. Yeah. And, they've been pretty kind of scaled back on their graphics and design stuff, but this is a boat that they chartered that's out next to the convention where they've set up all this merch and shit. Let me scale back. But I tweeted, I'm like, Musk Cometh doing the severe marketing shit, man. I'm impressed. Like,
wait, where are they at?
They're out in Paris at CC-ETH, that big Paris conference. And
fun, man.
Oh my God, I got to go out next year. Definitely
get him to get us a couple of media passes.
But look at that helmet. France. Look at all this merch they did, man. It's really cool. I mean, yeah, they really went all out on the promo at this show. It's not something I would have expected from them. And then look at this. They've got the game built into stand-up
arcade console.
Yeah, arcade console. Yeah, I love that shit. It's awesome. So I just love seeing them. I love seeing them out there producing and getting aggressive with the marketing. So that's really good to see. Sean said he's still looking to stake for his bar bill. So remember how he said he wanted his own instead of UBI Universal Basic bar tab. So UBBT it will be his protocol.
Well, we could be sponsored from that bar.
That's it.
15 minutes dialogue with Sean, and that way we clear his bar tab every week.
There we go. I like that. that. Tell him to set up a big sign behind his head, whatever. I think that'd be fucking hilarious.
Yeah, like a club video, like the footballers do. Where they got the
big
flag behind them.
Niblet says or a stout yield. I like that. That's good.
Look, I love the Musk guys, the Cometh guys. I mean. Yeah. Totally straight up. I was in those liquidity pools. Probably the first ones I ever did were on that platform.
Yep.
And, never in the gaming. I was playing in the game some too. Just straight up good group of people. And I love the fact that they're still succeeding.
Well, and they helped me out on two really new projects. They were immediately willing to start offering, liquidity and yield with their tokens for some projects I was involved without hesitation. Like, they're the kind of people that just, if you know them, they're going to do the work for you. And so I'm impressed with them. I don't know how much they're still doing with their swaps and liquidity and yield farming, because I know they're so focused on the game, but I'm glad to see them out there aggressively marketing. I think it makes sense. It's smart. So
good stuff. Good stuff for good people.
So I bought a little bit bigger chunk of Matic yesterday. It hasn't paid off yet this morning with this big announcement, but they did make a big announcement today. And interestingly enough, it seems that two other ZK rollup focused projects also announced going into alpha with what's called ZK-EVM, which means that you get all the power, speed, functionality, and low transaction cost of the ZK rollups, but with complete EVM compatibility. So they're going to deploy testnet here shortly. They're open sourcing all the source code to it. But the other interesting thing, so this is actually really big news, because this, along with two other projects doing, basically the same concept, this was something that was supposed to be years in the future. Like, we weren't supposed to get to this level of scaling and capability with ZK rollups for a while. But Polygon bought 3 projects in the ZK space. And usually, or in my personal experience, acquisitions don't work out this well. And this, to me, is indicative of how Polygon is run, because those 3 teams with all different code bases, all different kind of operating teams and everything else, joined up together and in 1 year cranked this out. And that, I think that says, I was in a discussion yesterday on Twitter about people talking about the incredible biz dev team at Polygon and how good they are. And you and I have talked about this quite a bit, and how much they do to generate new deals and get in the door with projects in and out of the space. But the fact that those three teams, who all had their own turf, their own territory, joined up and did this project in a unified fashion and got it out in this amount of time, says a lot to me about the management team there, about the operational team there, that they were able to get these people to work together, which is difficult to do with developers and turf and tech, ownership, is really impressive. So the interesting thing is, the tweet I responded to yesterday was a friend of mine who was saying, well, Polygon's awesome at biz dev. They're killing it. He's a big Phantom fanboy like me, but he said that, their sidechain proof of stake layer 2 is shit. It's garbage, and that it just isn't strong. It's not secure, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. My response back to him yesterday was, well, they've got a lot of other projects that they've built out and that they've acquired that are better technically sound projects. And that's going to help them when they launch those. Well, the next day they launched this thing. So look, here's a couple of things I think kind of to learn from this, from a project perspective or a business perspective, is number one, they didn't wait around. They went with a less optimal solution with their proof of stake sidechain, and they built up massive market share, and they built up the ability to talk to projects about the fact that they have all these users in the space already, right? Number two, your ability to make partnerships happen is critical. We say this all the time, you and I, Joe, is critical to success in DeFi. You've got to get good at making deals, making connections, getting people connected, and making partnerships happen. I think that Phantom lags there relative to what Polygon does. Polygon is a biz dev machine. And the third thing is, you've got to create an atmosphere of innovation, and one where people want to work together. And I think they've done a phenomenal job, considering often acquisitions in the tech space go south, or projects have to remain separate because they're not able to work together. So I'm really impressed with this. I'm excited for Polygon, and hope to see some more upward motion on that price after I bought some more yesterday.
It's funny. Yesterday I bought Phantom, and after we talked about it on the show, I bought some more of that just because I can talk myself into it, because I feel like there's a rotation going on into it. And then lo and behold, it was up like, I don't know, 15, 20, 25% today.
Nice.
Yeah. So I was like happy with that. The reason I brought that up is I'd love to know your friend that you were talking to, the Phantom fanboy, not discounting the different BD teams on the different chains, but I'd love to know why he likes Phantom better.
He talks a lot about tech, the consensus mechanism. He also talks about the same things you and I talk about, the ecosystem, the fact that the developers are so strong that are building protocols in that space, that kind of thing. And I shouldn't, he's an acquaintance, a Twitter acquaintance. I shouldn't necessarily call him a friend, but we chat pretty frequently in Twitter. But he's very much into, what's being built, how it's being built, the team that's there. The fact that the tech is solid and strong and fast and cheap, and all that good stuff, and the community. I mean, the same reasons you and I love Phantom. It's.
I'm just trying to drill into that technical side a little bit better in my own mindset, because if we talk about this multi-chain, multiverse world where they're all connected, I'm trying to figure out which one is the best one to sort of, I don't know, for lack of a better word, pipe everybody together in whatever that is or looks like. I mean, a lot of times I see everything as like a sphere with, points connecting through the sphere, peer-to-peer kind of model of, just that, all those intersections, but also all the possible points within the sphere and outside the sphere. Whoever's going to pipe all that together in the fastest, cheapest way is probably going to have a leg up, I would think.
Well, and I think that speaks to needing to take a closer look to Polkadot, Cosmos, those kinds of plays, as well as you've got Router. And, I just used it to buy the more Polygon. I used Seabridge, which is, who's behind that now? I can't remember. Seller network, which is also doing really
Oh,
cool
yeah.
cross-chain shit. I think there's some tie there to Cosmos in that protocol. And so that's the interesting things. The ones that make this seamless for all of us, like we don't have to fucking think about it, right?
Mhm.
Are the ones that are going to win. And frankly, I'm a little surprised that I haven't seen Polygon dive into that more. And I think a logical partner for them would be the Router DeFi team, because they're both in India. But I think for Polygon to make ZK-EVM successful, they're going to have to move protocols and users onto it, right? And ultimately, I think their strategy should be is get everybody off of the proof of stake and into the ZK-EVM, faster, stronger, more secure, rights to Ethereum. All of that makes a ton of sense from the perspective of that project, really trying to migrate everybody over. So hopefully they'll set up an incentive program to do that. But I would think it would be in their best interest to also be kind of having in their core group of projects and teams, having some cross bridge stuff. The bridging tools that they have available now are pretty limited. So,
So you're saying, I guess, that the promise of ZK-EVM is, essentially faster transactions, more secure transactions, and cheaper transactions.
And that developers don't have to do a thing to their existing code. They can
that's huge.
cross deploy immediately, right?
Okay.
So from that perspective, they get all the benefits of that while not having to rewrite their code. The other thing about Polygon is there are a lot of big names in the Ethereum ecosystem that are on their board of advisors, that are backing them, that have invested in them, that will probably continue to trumpet Polygon solutions over everything else in terms of layer twos, right? They'll talk about the other layer two solutions, but the guys at Bankless, the guy, what's his name, Sassel, all of those guys are involved and engaged with the Polygon team. And that another smart move by Polygon, right? Like, I don't know, these guys, I'm starting to think that this team is functioning as well as, or getting close to functioning as well as CZ and the team at Binance. I'm just really impressed with, I mean, they make mistakes like anybody else, but I'm just really impressed with how that organization's being run.
Well, they're executing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the key, is that you don't have any nightmarish stories about blown up projects or crazy founders.
Yeah.
It just seems like a very low key team that's got its head down and is executing on what they say they're going to do, with the full support of, Ethereum and Consensus and all those guys. So
absolutely,
I think they're in a great spot.
I do too. Now, in that mind, I just want to keep everyone, I want to be fair and say that there were also two other ZK-EVM. So ZK-EVM is not Polygon branded. It's the model, right? It's the tech concept. Both ZK-Sync and Scroll ZKP also announced ZK-EVM capabilities coming, either in alpha or launching into testnet. So those two teams also are keeping up with, where Polygon is with ZK-EVM. I think Polygon obviously has the advantage because they have the market share, they have the users, they have the protocols, they have projects, and they can incentivize with their giant, bank accounts or wallets, moving their projects onto their system. So anyway,
so what would you say? Like, I mean, have you looked at these two, ZK-Sync and Scroll?
Briefly. I mean, ZK-Sync is pretty big in this space, and they've got a lot of backing in the space. And I think there's a number of protocols, but 100 days they've got let's see, live on mainnet in 100 days. I don't know when Polygon's going live to mainnet. They're just now launching testnet. So I don't know how long it'll be until, I don't know who's going to win the game of, hey, you can deploy your protocol here now. Right. I mean, that's ultimately it. This is a great milestone. The next thing is when mainnet. So. Yeah.
No, I mean, but look, they got 225,000 followers, Odd.
Yeah.
They got a testnet up. I mean, we should start looking at these more too.
I agree.
because who's going to win? Is there a war in that space between all the ZK players, or is it just a market capture play?
I think there is going to be a war. I think it's a market capture as well. I mean, look, I think what happened is two of them got word that one of them was going to announce. I think it was Scroll that announced first, but I'm not sure. And so they all said, oh shit, we better get out. It may have been that everybody saw, because Polygon's been saying for a week that they were going to make this massive announcement today. So it may be that ZK Sync and Scroll both said, oh shit, we can't let Polygon take all of the ZK-EVM PR. So, but I don't know.
No, it makes sense, because everybody's going to be blindly searching in Google for what's that shit called? ZK what?
Yeah.
And they're going to go, and then you're going to pull up all of them versus just the one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That was smart.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, look, here's the bottom line. These announcements make, to me, everything that's going to happen with the Ethereum over the next 6 months to a year even bigger, right? As much as I love Phantom and Avalanche, I think is great. These kinds of innovations, these kinds of launches, and if protocols move to them, are going to make it more difficult for alternative layer ones to get attention of developers, right? If you can have dirt cheap transactions, high speed, high security, and all kind of on Ethereum, that to me is a little bit concerning for other layer ones, because I think at the end of the day, developers are going to say, well, I can cross deploy on other layer ones, but maybe I end up focusing first here because I can use the same code, I can deploy it here, and I get the security and capability and brand of Ethereum along with it. And, I think there you also get a lot more TVL on Ethereum, right? You're going to have big money in there. Retail money will start coming in because of ZK-EVM capabilities. And so I'm not saying other layer ones are dead. I still love them. I think they have a purpose. I think they'll still function and do well. And I think we have such a long way to go. We're so early that there's plenty of money on the table. I just think that with institutional coming into Ethereum, more and more people looking at Ethereum, these are the kinds of things that make it so that even more developers will probably look at like these second layers to deploy.
So does this, I mean, if you're in the ZK-EVM side of Ethereum, is it Solidity developers still?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Solidity.
So it doesn't do anything to alleviate that constraint. It still has that Solidity developer constraint. Okay.
Yeah.
That I think that still then, somebody could do this with a no code, low code variety within the ZK-EVM platform, if that's possible. I mean, I think that would have some traction.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, at the end of the day, the protocols are the protocols and they're composable. So that's definitely possible. Yeah. Niblet says, could you do an L1 comparison with these kinds of criteria? Yeah. You know what? Let me think about that a bit, man. Rather than do it on the fly right here, let me think about that a bit, but I definitely could probably put something together. Not that I would be the be all and end all opinion on these things, but I certainly think I could pull out that for, a couple of the layer twos, and then Avalanche, Solana, Phantom,
well, you're dating Vitalik. Oh no, I'm sorry, you're still married. I thought you were dating Vitalik's mom by now, so you can get the insights. Well,
she's my mistress. Yeah.
Uh-oh. Vitalik, do that shit, man. This guy's dogging your mom.
What the fuck?
Come on the show.
Is it 12:45 yet? Okay.
No, but what I was going to say, to the previous exercise, the L1 comparison, I'd love it. This would be a great crowdsource project too.
That's cool.
Anybody has particular insights.
That's a great idea, Joe.
To just toss them in, because I was thinking yesterday as well, or last night, we need to find more of these startup L1s out there, like Canto. I think you showed us yesterday.
Yeah.
And let's start finding those. And those are the ones where you go play on there and get some tokens. And if one day in 4 years, they turn into Avalanche or Solana or something, you're friggin' on the boat mixing up margaritas at that point.
Well, that's like that guy. Investment. That's like the story of the guy that started early days with, I think it was $5,000, maybe it was $10,000 in proof of staking for Phantom. And he's now got 10 million. That's the kind of shit. I mean, that's like a 3 to 5 year play, but I'll take it.
Well, that's, you're putting a bet down on a horse, basically.
Yeah.
And hoping it finishes the race.
Well,
hoping it finishes in
win, place, or show. I mean,
what if you take, 5 of the top tier and 5 of these new lower tier startups, and you put $5,000 in each of them for proof of stake, and just sit back and see what the fuck happens as you accumulate tokens? There's potential there.
But I'd love to start, because look, if we look at these L1s and L2s and really determine what the comparison dynamic is, like what variables or what parameters are we looking at, and then look at the new ones that are all presumably addressing deficiencies in the current state players of the market, then we might have a better shot at, narrowing the odds to where we might pick higher. Instead of getting 1 out of 10, we might end up getting 3 or 4 out of 10.
I totally agree.
So let's just keep that going. But to my point before, guys, anybody who knows anything about any new ones, DM Brad. If anybody knows any intel, like what they think about them all, like what do you think the top 5 attributes are for Phantom, Avalanche?
You know what I'll do? I'm going to create I'll create a channel in the Discord.
Okay. Perfect.
Where people can post up their thoughts about the L1s and L2s. And then maybe we'll put them in a Google spreadsheet.
And kind of create a little report out of that.
I'm making a note here to set up the task. I've got to finish 2 episodes today that I worked on last night, and then we'll get them out. I think that's a great idea, man.
Because we all are trying to guess where the market's going. And, however you want to characterize it, the name of the game here in every market, every investment market, is to get your money in place before the massive money shows up.
Yeah.
So, making smart bets in areas where you're thinking or hoping capital is going to flow to.
Yeah.
Other people call it exit liquidity, but it's essentially the same thing. Who's going to buy you? Who's going to drive that price up and buy you out?
That's right.
So if we can find the right ones and collectively pool our brain power, listeners and us alike, then we're going to have a leg up on the vast majority of the market at that point.
Yeah.
So let's do it.
Hey, did you know the SEC will pay you $17 million to squeal on your business partner?
Client. Sounds like House of Lies. I've been streaming that again with Don Cheadle. That sounds like a play out of
shit!
House
I
of
forgot
Lies.
all about that series. That was a great series.
It's funny as shit still.
Yeah, it's not still running, is it?
No, I do it on Showtime channel, I think on Amazon Prime. But I don't have Showtime anymore, so I think it's open to all Prime people.
Yeah. Niblet said, sorry, didn't mean to add action items. Actually, it's a really valuable action item, dude. I'm really glad you did. It's great for the content of the show, and it's great for investing for me. So it's good.
Yeah.
But anyway, somebody got paid out $17 million for squealing on somebody. And basically all of this gets paid out of the fines that the SEC collects. So if you report somebody and provide documentation or evidence that helps them pursue something in a fine, you get a piece of the action.
Yeah, well, I think that's what sort of guides a lot of client relationships out there is, everybody kind of knows that everybody knows what's going on.
Exactly.
And if somebody stiffs you, obviously this is
It's
great
dangerous.
way to get your bill paid.
I think the lesson here is if you're going to launch a project and you're in the US, make sure you get those Anon skills up really good. Because unless you have perfect relationships with people, this is going to be very attractive to some assholes. So, just be careful out there, folks. They've awarded over $1.3 billion to 278 people since 2012.
Yeah, I always find it tricky, obviously there's plenty of legitimate
That's an average payout of 4.6 million.
Shit, man, I could fucking retire. Nah, but I don't like that. Look, if it's a bad person,
if it's a bad actor, I'll do it all day. But I don't want to do anything that gets these people more involved in the space. I want the space to clean itself up. But the other side of it is if you're launching a project, be fucking careful. That's
Yeah, I would seriously, anybody doing any kind of capital raising in the US or even Americans doing it overseas, I would just be super careful right now that it's done right and the disclosures are filed.
Yeah. Well, file the disclosures or, learn how to do your whatever you got to do to protect yourself.
from Botswana.
But as Joe said yesterday, hire a fucking attorney if you're going to do it. So
yeah, out of the gate.
Yeah.
But I personally don't push the envelope like that, and I don't recommend it to anybody. But I know a lot of the younger guys do. But when you've done this for this long, you see how everybody who takes the shortcuts and cuts corners, they always get caught eventually, and they always get burned eventually. So it's better just to play it straight or have a very tight group around you.
Yeah. Well, people you can trust and that aren't going to squeal at it.
But how long does that really last?
Yeah. I mean, look, you can't even ultimately, at the end of the day, we've seen multiple, I've seen multiple experiences in life when people couldn't even trust their family members. So
yeah,
their own children. So
yeah, and when money gets in, money brings out the worst in everybody.
Yep.
And in reality, to me, it's fun credits. All right, it's freedom credits. In this country, and that's the way I look at it. But I don't orient my whole life around earning money.
Yeah.
Just because I want more.
Yeah.
It's just not worth it because you never appreciate it then. I mean, look at all these people that behave that way. They all end up in one of two places, dead or in jail.
Yeah.
Or jail and then dead. It's like, and you think your kids like you at all at that point? Nah. No. They're embarrassed for you. Do you think your mom likes you? Nah, you're a failure. Yep. So, just watch, it's easy to slide down that slippery slope. We see it every day, but just be careful.
Yep. So I was playing around. 0x is the trade aggregator, the DEX aggregator API that everybody uses to integrate, including MetaMask. And I was playing around with some of they have an explorer that lets you see the activity on the site on all of the people using their API. Mm-hmm. And, look at this, man. MetaMask is still maintaining 10 million average, even in this market, to every 24 hours in trades. So, who knows what the fees are on that, but some small percentage of that. But
well, they're going public, right? Or they're doing a token offering soon?
There's a rumor of a token offering. I don't know. Matcha's doing 34.06 million in 24 hours in the last 24 hours. DeFi Saver 8.78 million, and they're taking fees on that, and they've got a little bit of a kind of a lending and DeFi automation tool that they offer to the market. So they're doing 8.78 million in the last 24 hours. So I just found this interesting to see how people are doing. CalSwap, which 0x is not even their primary method of swapping. They have their own protocol and their own system for doing swaps. They still did 4.36 million for the ones that don't fit the protocol properly.
But doesn't it look weird to see that it's only 133 trades?
Oh,
CalSwap.
Sure.
But what I find interesting is the Coinbase wallet. Look at that one.
Yeah.
So they have 1.7 million in volume versus CalSwap's 4.3 million, but they had 2,000 trades and CalSwap had 131 trades.
Yeah. Well, CalSwap is obviously attracting bigger traders.
Yeah. That's very interesting.
Very interesting. And this is just kind of fun. They have you can browse trades that people are making. I'm sure there's some cool data to aggregate out of this, overall, but no, it's just really interesting. Good stuff.
Yeah. No, I like that.
Yeah. Let me see if I have anything else. I know what it was. Oh, I missed this last week. Did you see this?
I saw it this morning. Yeah.
Binance hires former Acorns and PayPal exec Jasmine Lee as their CFO in Binance US, by the way, not Binance.com, in anticipation of going public. And I got to tell you, do you remember the woman? I'm trying to remember her name. I can't remember it. That was the CEO and got fired.
Well, that's exactly what I thought of because I remember you were talking to her a lot back then.
Well, and then they hired the guy who used to be head of the commodities and U.S. commodities. What's the group?
CFTC.
CFTC. Yeah, he was previously head of the CFTC. They hired him. I think he lasted like a month and a half, 2 months, and was out the door. And then they were just kind of scrambling around trying to find someone. Let me see if they have. Well,
the name. You can't
Brian
take a guy
Schroeder.
You can't take a guy like head of CFTC and expect him to really know how to run this organization.
Exactly.
He's better as like the CEO or chairman. And you just send him out to go talk to regulators all day long, and institutional guys all day long, and get these guys in like this Brian guy.
Yeah.
That have run organizations or know how to run tech organizations.
Yep.
Yeah, I like this.
Now, I'm pretty impressed. I mean, they seem to be making the right moves. So, we'll see where it takes them. One last thing before we close off. FTX. Oh no, this is so cool. I fucking love this, and I want to see more of this. I really want to see more of this, and I think that this is another entry point for traditional markets. So, Consensus has an auditing arm on their of their business. They're launching these tokens called Turn. They're NFTs, right? That are worth 40 hours of auditing time. Now, this is one of the most auditors are one of the most valuable assets in the space right now. Like, impossible to get. You're waiting months to get your audit started. You're paying a bloody fucking fortune for it, right? Well, if you're urgently needing an audit, like if I had the cash, I'd go in and buy up as many of these
shitload of tokens.
Yeah, because I mean, what are they doing? How many? They're not doing that many. I think they're doing 8. So it qualifies you for 40 hours of auditing time, right? With one token, they can be resold on OpenSea, and it's one of the most in-demand things. So if your project needs an audit yesterday, what are you going to do? You're going to go in the open fucking market and pay a premium price for this shit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it queues everybody up properly based on how much they're willing to spend.
Yeah, and this is a beautiful model for bringing in other scarce things, right? Like, this is not an example that would be NFT based, but like before I went on vacation, I put my car in the local Chrysler dealer, right? It was there for 2.5 weeks before they could get to it. And then they get to it, and I find out today they're not going to get the parts until August, the first week in August, right? And I'm like, what the fuck, people? This is like 5 weeks without my vehicle. It's like, are you kidding me? But anything that is like scarcity based, this is a really cool model. And I could see somebody building a platform around deploying these kind of scarcity based things that keeps track of things like hours or time or shipments or whatever within the NFT, right? Otherwise, it's just an NFT, and that's all they're doing here. There's no, they'll probably keep track of this in a spreadsheet somewhere. But I could see this really being a compelling model. I really love them selling something in high demand like this.
Well, I'm the first thing I'm thinking of is luxury car market.
Right.
You want to go buy a Ferrari, a McLaren. I mean, I don't own any of these, so don't get the wrong idea. But if you wanted to, you got to wait a lot of times, like 6 to 12 months.
Yeah.
And you're putting down this massive premium, I don't know, processing fee or something to get it. If you could control allocation with this model, because there's no.
So McLaren puts out for the next 20 units, puts out 20 NFTs.
Yeah.
And they're numbered 1, 2, 3. So you get the next one.
Yeah. And though if you want to swap out or buy somebody else's and move up the queue, you can do that.
Exactly.
No, because those, there ain't any like middle class people aren't buying Ferraris and McLarens. So let's let these dudes fight it out. And if they want to pay 10 million to get the car yesterday, then who cares, right?
Yeah. I think this is brilliant. I'm not a fan of Consensus. I think they're a fucking hot mess, but I love this, right? Because it makes total sense. Oh, so the base price, the starting price, the auction is $100,000. And they have a cutoff date by which the NFTs must be redeemed.
So that's an expiration. I like that too.
Yeah.
Well, look, any of these, I mean, this is a pre-purchase of services, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You're pre-purchasing, getting an audit done as quickly as you want to, right? Now, the question is how Consensus is going to manage usage, right? Because if you say, so this is 40 hours, 8 weeks of services. If I buy this at a premium, say $250,000, am I going to get services right away, or I have to still work into the rotation of the schedule? From my perspective, if you're going to do something like this, you better have those dedicated blocks of time available. And then you need to segment these and prioritize them. This one has priority 1. This one has priority 2. This one has priority 3. That to me makes more sense than just saying, oh yeah, you can buy the services, but you're still going to have to wait 8 weeks to the fucking get the service. I mean,
unless you got NFT 1.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so what you do is you just have your auditors on fucking standby, right? Until an NFT is redeemed, they're not fucking doing anything. which sucks from a revenue perspective. But if you sell 8 of these at $100,000 a pop, and you're making probably 10 or 15% on every resale,
Yeah, and I bet these. I mean, look, you could, if you were really organized, you could crank these audits out pretty fast.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they should, but
there are templates to a lot of this, and then there's all the duct tape and toothpicking that's got to be sorted out.
Right.
And that's the hard part. But I would think once you audit 500 crypto companies, that you're going to have some top 10.
Oh, they're standardized shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think this could be something that scales nicely, which is what I'm getting to. Once you get that dynamic down about utilization rate or, bench time versus performance time, once you figure that and you model that right, this is going to be a screaming machine.
Yeah.
But yeah, consensus is pretty much a mess. But I don't dislike them. I just think that as the commercialization arm for Ethereum, that when they started, that whole flat organizational concept was just so off the wall to me, of like impossible to work. I kind of lost some faith in them at that point. And then when they bought, as I've said before, the asteroid mining company, which I'm like, who the fuck doesn't want to be an asteroid miner? It still diluted the focus too much to me. It's like blockchain, asteroid mining.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
It's silly. It's silly.
So,
my problem with them is the centralized nature of their services. And their
JP Morgan stuff. I know you don't like that, though.
Yeah. I just think they're too in bed. Look, I know we want to bring TradFi in. Don't get me wrong. I get it. And I know banks are going to be selling crypto. I want the tools I use, like the entire, like a majority of the infrastructure of DeFi right now is on their centralized shit. And that pisses me off and makes me nervous. The fact that MetaMask has centralized components to it now, where they're controlling who can and cannot use it. I get why they have to do it from a regulatory perspective, but it tells me that we need better. We need decentralized versions of that. And companies like Anchor are already competing with them on the nodes, so they're providing a decentralized version of that where people can earn money by hosting it. And so I'm hoping more and more of these decentralized solutions will get traction. And I understand why developers choose the products that they offer, because it's fast and easy and simple and covers all their bases. Yeah. But at the same time, it's a danger for the ecosystem. So,
well, I think you're right. I think none of us want is just to all get gobbled up by big money.
Yeah.
Because the one thing,
because we'll be back to we'll be back to where we are.
Right.
I mean, we'll be it'll just be on a blockchain.
Well, most of this innovation out of the Jobs Act and everything else was all about trying to promote Main Street America innovation, and particularly exits. Because if you look at the data, there's a severe lack of startup funding out there, and there's no banks crawling middle America, say Des Moines, Iowa, looking for tech deals.
Right.
And so you can't get that local exit where all of a sudden somebody makes $7-8 million, but in Des Moines, that's a lot of money.
Hell yeah.
And it fuels all this other innovation. So it's getting all sucked out of these areas and going to the other. So the Jobs Act and crypto in particular, in my mind, was made to kind of reinvigorate the grassroots of entrepreneurialism. Yeah. And we don't want that to get all washed over by the same people that don't give a shit about Main Street.
Absolutely. One more thing and then we'll cut it out. FTX is raising money again, and they're like fucking printing money. So I'm a little confused, but evidently they're trying to raise similar to what they raised in fucking January, $400 million at a $32 billion valuation. My assumption is the reason they're doing it is he's going to go buy fucking everything in sight.
Yeah, I am surprised though that they're doing it at the same valuation.
Yeah, well, January. I mean, I think with the market conditions, they just probably feel like they can't push it past that limit very much.
Because if I was making that pitch, like I'm going to go buy X, Y, and Z, I'd be saying, okay, here's our current cash flow. Once we get these integrated, here's our cash flow. It's triple what it is now. Therefore, our valuation should be $96 billion.
Right.
So give me 4B. We'll make it an even 100.
Yeah. I don't know. They came in at 400 million, 32 billion. 400 million raised, 32 billion valuation in January in their Series C, and both the US and the main FTX are raising right now. And it says here the push for fresh funding comes as FTX has been striking deals to acquire rivals struggling with recent crypto market crash. And look, I think there's I think he probably just doesn't want to lose time, right? So he doesn't want to have to fucking go back and forth. He's just saying, fuck it. I'm going to go out there, take the same money because I can turn around and buy up massive numbers of projects very quickly at dirt cheap, right? And maybe he just figures the upside for him long-term is whatever. He's already a billionaire anyway. What the fuck?
No, you flip the argument. It's what I just said, but you say, look, you guys have been with me since forever, so I want to get you guys in at the lowest valuation on this. So you see the upside we're going to get when we acquire bang, bang, and bang.
Yeah.
So get in now. I don't have time to wait. I don't want to
close it
haggle.
fast. Yeah.
Let's
I don't
just
need
go
a
get
6-month
these
raise. I just want you in with your money and shut up.
And then you're going to be writing big fucking Christmas bonus checks to everybody.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's the play.
I think you're right. All right, Joe, I'm done. I'm out.
Is that all that's going on today? I think so.
Oh, no, there's a lot more going on today, but it's already 12:55.
Oh, 12:55. Oh, yeah, cool. Let's cut it. We don't want to. I know we're trying to enforce that 12:45 line.
Yeah. Niblets, Sean, guys, thank you so much for participating today. We love you and appreciate you. If you get a chance, we got a new review in yesterday saying how amazing we are.
Really?
Well, me, not you. No,
oh, damn.
Both of us. Thank you.
Nobody
so much
likes me unless I'm going after you, man.
But if you love us and you love the show, please take a minute to review us on Apple Podcasts. It just takes a couple of minutes and it really does a lot to boost our ratings and our viewer and listenership. Also subscribe to us on YouTube, click the little bell so you get notified when we have new episodes. Feedback, thoughts, ideas, projects to follow, etc. are always open and welcome. We love hearing from you. B05 Crypto on Twitter or Telegram, B05 Crypto #2143 on Discord. I'll set up that Discord group in the next 24 hours where we can talk about, in our Discord, where we can talk about the comparisons of L1s to L2s and build out crowdfund a nice spreadsheet for comparison purposes that we think will help with ratings and investing ideas. So thanks, Niblets, for that idea. Joe, that's all I got. Love you all. Appreciate you.
Yeah. Hey, me too, everyone. But I did see a header go across it. You're going to love your boy Brad Sherman is asking the SEC to go after every exchange that traded in XRP.
Yeah, great.
So yeah, all right, we'll talk about that tomorrow.
Sherman is such a fucking dick. That we'll call it that. You know what? There's my. I was going to stop doing the douchebag of the week because I felt like it was so disrespectful. But Brad Sherman is like the douchebag of forever. So Brad Sherman, you're the douchebag of the week. So
there you go.
Yeah. On a positive note, love you.